The very first instant of your existence was not marked by a word, but by a silent gesture: breath. The air that first entered your lungs did not bring only oxygen. It carried a code, a primordial signature that shaped your identity before any belief could. Breath, therefore, is more than biology. It is sacred memory. Bruce Lipton reminds us that the body does not live separate from the mind. Beliefs and emotions shape cellular biology and determine the electromagnetic field we radiate. This field is our silent language with the universe, and breath is one of the most direct portals to modulate it. With each cycle, the body receives the instruction to open or to close, to expand or to contract. Over time, this sacred gesture was reduced to an automatic function. We breathe without noticing, and in automatizing, we also lose part of the connection with our original energetic code. But conscious breathing holds the power to restore that coherence. By changing the rhythm, we change the state. By changing the state, we change the reality we perceive. Joe Dispenza reinforces that intentional breathing synchronizes heart and brain, creating a harmonious magnetic field capable of altering neurological rhythms. When this coherence is reached, our perception expands, and we begin to access higher versions of ourselves. It is not simply calming the mind, it is realigning the entire body with greater possibilities. This is the bridge between science and spirituality. We are not speaking here of positive thinking, but of reactivating the original program that has always been within you. To breathe consciously is to return to the body and the soul the remembrance of who you are. A being capable of choosing frequency, reorganizing energy, and aligning with the creative field. The beginning of life is marked by a universal gesture, the first inhalation. That breath was not merely a biological reflex, but the moment your body received the energetic signature that would accompany it as the basis of identity. It is as if each cell had registered, "I exist because I breathe." This first act remains as a silent memory. Even if you do not consciously recall it, the body holds this primordial archive. Inscribed in it is the program of expansion, of trust, of openness to flow. Each breath, symbolically, is a reunion with that initial moment of potency. With the passage of time, however, the original breath became covered by layers of fear, conditioning, and limiting beliefs. What began wide and natural became short, anxious, disconnected. What was once a portal of life became nothing more than an automatic habit. Bruce Lipton reminds us that our cells respond not only to chemical molecules, but also to the emotional state surrounding them. A contained breath sends signals of threat, while a full breath communicates safety and openness. This silent language shapes biological destiny as much as oxygen itself. To rediscover the original breath, then, is not nostalgia, it is reconnection. Each time you breathe consciously, you open a window into this primordial code. And in that moment, the body remembers. You are not merely someone trying to survive, but someone born programmed to expand. Breath was born as a sacred act, the gesture that inaugurated your presence in the world. Yet, with the passing of years, what was once a portal of life has been reduced to a simple automatic reflex. Breathing became unconscious routine, stripped of the symbolic and energetic dimension it carries. This automatization has a cost. When we fail to pay attention to the way we breathe, the body tends to shorten the breath, to hold air in moments of tension, and to live in constant alertness. Without realizing, we begin to program the body for survival, not for creation. Breath loses its power as a bridge between consciousness and biology. Bruce Lipton teaches that the body reads signals of safety or threat at every moment, and these signals are also transmitted through the way we breathe. Short and agitated inhalations tell the cells, "We are in danger." Full and rhythmic breaths say, "It is safe to expand." Thus, the simple breathing pattern regulates not only the mind but the entire cellular biology. Joe Dispenza reinforces this vision by showing that when we breathe consciously, the synchronicity between heart and brain is restored. The nervous system leaves survival mode and enters a state of presence. This shift immediately changes how we perceive the world and how the world responds to our energy. What was meant to be a portal of alignment became a forgotten habit, but the power remains intact, waiting to be accessed again. When we transform breathing from an automatic function into a conscious act, It becomes once more the bridge between the human and the quantum, between the body that carries stories and the being that creates new possibilities. Every breathing pattern is more than the intake and release of air. It is a vibrational code that informs the field of who you are being. The rhythm of the breath regulates the nervous system, influences heartbeats, and reorganizes brain circuits. For this reason, to breathe is also to choose a frequency. When the breath is short and irregular, the body interprets threat. The mind races, the heart speeds up, and perception narrows into vigilance. It is like tuning into a station full of static. You catch only fragments of information without clarity. A long rhythmic breath, on the other hand, clears the static, opening space for states of calm and presence. Bruce Lipton shows that this pattern is not neutral. Cells read breathing as a signal of safety or stress, adjusting their chemistry in response. By inhaling fully, you release substances that favor regeneration and growth. By holding your breath in tension, you activate hormones that drain vital energy. Joe Dispenza adds that conscious breathing is like a switch that changes neurological rhythms. It can shift the brain from rapid, anxious beta waves into more creative and receptive states, alpha, theta. This shift opens perception to new possibilities and synchronicities. The hidden frequency within breath is therefore the invisible code regulating your timelines. Each cycle is an opportunity to align body and consciousness, choosing not only how you feel, but also which realities become accessible. To breathe is to program. Contemporary science has revealed something that ancient traditions had already intuited. Breath directly alters brain rhythms. Each cycle of inhalation and exhalation is like a drumbeat that synchronizes brain waves, modulating states of attention, memory, and emotion. Studies show that intentional breathing can shift the brain from fast alert waves, beta, into slower, more creative frequencies, alpha and theta. In these ranges, the mind opens to learning, imagination, and new connections. In even deeper states, such as delta, the body activates processes of regeneration and healing. Joe Dispenza teaches that when we breathe consciously, we also modulate heart rate variability, the interval between beats. This physiological marker is one of the greatest indicators of emotional resilience and nervous system balance. The more coherent the breath, the more coherent the heart, and the greater the ability to face challenges without collapsing. Bruce Lipton adds that these adjustments are not only neurological, they reach the cellular level. The way we breathe alters the chemistry released in the body, regulating everything from immunity to gene expression. Breath is quite literally a code that speaks to our cells. The vital pulse, therefore, is not only in the beating heart or the thinking brain, it is in the breath that connects them. When we use this resource consciously, we turn physiology into an ally of consciousness, creating space for new versions of ourselves to emerge. The heart is not just a biological pump. It generates an electromagnetic field dozens of times stronger than the brain's, capable of expanding beyond the body. When breath is conscious and rhythmic, this field stabilizes and begins to harmonize with brain activity. Heart-brain coherence happens when heart rhythms and brain waves enter into sync. This alignment creates a clear electromagnetic signature, like a beam of light that replaces the scatter of multiple unfocused lamps. In this state, both physiology and perception shift. Joe Dispenza explains that in coherence, the brain stops repeating survival patterns and begins creating new connections. Intuition expands, clarity arises, and the sense of unity strengthens. Bruce Lipton shows that in this state, cells receive signals of safety, activating genes linked to repair and growth. The subjective experience also transforms. Instead of anxiety or vigilance, we feel deep calm, trust, and expansion. It is as if the whole body were saying, "It is safe to exist, it is safe to create." This feeling is not fantasy, but the reflection of physiological rhythms in harmony. Practicing heart-brain coherence is therefore one of the most powerful ways to reprogram vibrational identity. Each cycle of conscious breathing is an opportunity for heart and mind to speak the same language, and when that happens, reality responds with synchronicity. The first breath carried not only oxygen, but also innocence and trust. As children, breathing was natural and full. The abdomen expanded freely, the body relaxed, and life was lived without vigilance. This original pattern reflected a state of openness and surrender to flow. Over time, however, traumas, rejections, and conditioning shortened that breath. We began to hold air in fear, to breathe halfway in moments of anxiety, to live in constant alert. The child who dreamed and trusted was muffled under layers of survival. Bruce Lipton teaches that our perceptions, even those formed early in childhood, modulate biology and program our cells. A contained breath signals threat and reinforces narratives of limitation. Joe Dispenza reminds us that by breathing consciously, we can reopen the bridge to purer memories, dissolving patterns of automatic defense. Each deep breath is like a callback to that inner child. It is the opportunity to tell the body, it is safe to dream again. Conscious breath touches the archive of the oldest memories, allowing us to reclaim the part of us that believed without fear, that breathed freely, that trusted the flow of life. To breathe, in this sense, is more than a vital function. It is reconciliation. By bringing the inner child to the surface, we restore freshness, curiosity, and lightness to our experience. And what once seemed only a physiological gesture becomes a reunion with the most essential and luminous part of who we are. Breath is not only silence, it has sound. The rhythm of air flowing in and out is a living frequency that interacts with the body and the field around it. When joined with specific sounds, such as mantras, harmonic music, or frequencies like 528 Hz and 963 Hz, breath becomes an instrument of resonance, capable of reorganizing internal states. The principle is simple. Everything in the universe vibrates. The human body, being made of atoms and water, responds to sound frequencies as if it were a musical instrument. A coherent tone can relax muscles, reorganize brainwaves, and even harmonize emotions. Sound amplifies what breath already does naturally. Bruce Lipton reminds us that the external environment, including sounds and vibrations, is read by the cells just as much as the internal environment of beliefs. Joe Dispenza shows that the union of rhythmic breath and music can lead the brain into deep states of expansion, activating alpha, theta, and gamma waves associated with intuition and creativity. When we unite breath and sound, we create a field of resonance. The body stops being just a passive receiver and begins to vibrate in tune, releasing tensions, repressed emotions, and memories that had been hidden. This process is less about effort and more about allowing vibration to do the work of reorganizing what was in dissonance. That is why many ancient traditions united breath and song in their rituals. Today, science confirms conscious breathing and coherent sound are natural technologies of healing and alignment. Together, they remind us that life is music, and that each breath can be a conscious note in the symphony of the field. Many people think of breathing only as a tool for relaxation, and yes, it holds that power, slowing the heart, reducing anxiety, bringing immediate calm. But to limit breathing to this role is to reduce its scope. Conscious breath is not only for calming, it is a technology of creation. When you breathe intentionally, you are not just oxygenating the body, you are modulating frequency. Each inhalation is as if you were drawing possibilities from the field, each exhalation as if you were releasing resistance. In this rhythm, breath becomes the bridge between internal states and external realities. Bruce Lipton shows that this shift reaches the cellular level. The way you breathe alters hormones, regulates the immune system, and delivers new instructions to the cells. Joe Dispenza adds that when you align breath with intention and emotion, you install in the body a magnetic signature that the field recognizes. Breathing to create is different from breathing to survive. In the first, the gesture is expansive, intentional, and coherent. In the second, it is short, automatic, and defensive. The difference is not only physiological but vibrational. The first opens doors, the second closes them. That is why the practice is not to breathe only to relax after stress, but to use breath as the baton of creation. Each conscious cycle is a choice, to allow your body and your awareness to align with a state that not only calms, but also projects new realities into the field. The universe works as a quantum mirror. It does not return what you wish in words, but what you sustain in frequency. Breath, being a modulator of the internal state, acts as the baton that organizes your emission. The more conscious the breath, the clearer the image reflected. When you breathe short and anxious, you transmit to the field the message of contraction. The universe, in response, mirrors situations of tension and scarcity. But when the breath is broad, rhythmic, and intentional, the body vibrates with safety and presence, and the field reorganizes circumstances compatible with that vibrational identity. Bruce Lipton teaches that beliefs and perceptions, by shaping biology, also shape external experience. Breath is the direct channel to alter that perception at the most basic level, the cellular. Joe Dispenza shows that by breathing consciously and sustaining elevated emotions, you literally train the brain and the body to embody a new identity. Thus, breath becomes the thread that weaves the identity you choose to live. Each conscious cycle reinforces, I am this state, not merely, I want this result. The quantum mirror responds to the coherence of your signature, not your speech. To see breath this way is to reframe the everyday. It is not merely air entering and leaving, but the vibrational reaffirmation of who you are. Each sustained inhalation and exhalation is a silent reminder to the universe. This is the version of me that already exists and that I choose to inhabit. Breathing deeply is, in essence, an act of courage. When you inhale with presence, you accept to feel what was hidden. When you exhale with awareness, you allow what no longer serves to be released. Breath thus becomes a cycle of integration, to welcome, to process, to let go. Many emotional tensions and repressed memories remain stored in the body like stones along the path. Each short, held breath reinforces that weight, keeping the nervous system on alert. Deep breath, on the other hand, acts as an invitation for those burdens to surface, be recognized, and finally dissolved. Bruce Lipton reminds us that repressed emotions directly affect cellular chemistry, keeping the body in chronic stress. When you breathe consciously, you signal to the system that it is safe enough to let go. Joe Dispenza reinforces that this gesture creates space for elevated states, allowing new vibrational signatures to establish themselves. Courage, in this context, is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to feel it and release its energy. Each conscious respiratory cycle becomes a micro-act of purification, removing static from the field and raising frequency. It is in this clean space that new realities find fertile ground to manifest. Breath, therefore, is not only a relaxation tool, but a technology of liberation. With each inhale, you welcome the present. With each exhale, you release the past. And in the silence between one breath and the next, you open to the future. This is the frequency of courage, turning breath into a living ritual of renewal. Bruce Lipton teaches that every internal state sends instructions to the cells. Conscious breath, by shifting the nervous system pattern, not only alters stress hormones, but also reprograms genetic expression. In this way, the entire body understands that it can stop reacting and begin to flourish. Joe Dispenza adds that when we breathe intentionally, we synchronize heart and brain in coherence. This state generates a clear electromagnetic field, capable of reorganizing not only our perception, but also the environment around us. What we experience as synchronicity is, many times, the field responding to our vibrational signature. Conscious breathing, therefore, is not an isolated technique, but a continuous return to center. It is the re-encounter with the original code that was given to us in the first breath. Each conscious cycle is an opportunity to remember who we are, beings who can choose frequency and thus redesign their experience of reality. It is not the number of practices that defines transformation, but the consistency of living coherently. When breath returns to being an anchor, the body learns to call states of calm, trust, and expansion its normal. This elevated normal becomes the new quantum address that the universe recognizes. The true power, then, is not in forcing external changes, but in breathing as yourself, whole, conscious, complete. Each inhale is receiving, each exhale is releasing, and in this simple rhythm lies the key to reprogramming your field. Your primary breath is not only survival, it is the living technology that anchors your identity in the universe.